So today I want to talk about faster breakthroughs. I've talked about this before, but I really want to reiterate this point. If you're looking for faster breakthroughs, it's not just becoming a better therapist. It's not just learning to trim the fat off the therapy. It's not learning to ask the right questions and do the right therapy according to the right client and their root cause. Here's the one thing that'll help before all of those things happen. And this is really a golden nugget here, guys, so pay attention. The higher your prices, the faster the breakthrough. Motivation is fuel when it comes to fast breakthroughs. And one surefire way to lower motivation is to have lower prices. The higher the motivation, the higher the price they pay. They're already committed inside their head. We call this, well, I call this 90% therapized. We talk about this a lot in our ACH program and our live training. If you can get your client 90% therapized by doing the right strategy call, you can do some hypnosis. Well, not even hypnosis, you can do some therapy on the strategy call. You have the right motivation. You've got all the key ingredients. Plus a client says, yes, I'm willing to pay you, stranger, X amount of thousands of dollars to help my problem. By the time they show up, the problem's nearly completely gone. It just takes a little nudge in the session. So if you're ever wondering, like you've seen our students, even in their like demo breakdowns, or they have their client testimonials, you know how quick it was. You know, it might take 20 minutes to do a stop smoking session for $3,500, which is a real case. One of our students just talked about this in our Facebook group. And how are they doing this so quickly? A lot of the stuff is happening on the strategy call, which is why I always recommend do a strategy call. It also helps with the motivation, the psychological motivation of having very high prices. If you want to test this theory, go out and do this for yourself, but I promise you probably won't enjoy it. Get very low prices. Do like $25 to quit smoking and tell me how quick that session is. Tell me how motivated that person is. Tell me if that person even shows up or even pays you on time, or how many excuses, problems, and other things associated to that problem will show up, and how bad that client is. Try that for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. But if you do want to take my word for it, guys, raise your prices. The therapy gets easier. The breakthrough gets faster. That's just physics. That's just how it works. One thing I realized myself, because I used to have very low prices, the lower motivation, the crappier the session was. The more session I had to do, the longer I spent with a client, the harder it was to find the root cause, the harder it was for that client to even follow along with little simple instructions like me asking questions and looking for a response. It just became an absolute mind game with these clients. And that's the day where I nearly gave up on therapy and said, I don't want to do this. This is horrible. Like, sure, I got paid $100, but I don't even want this client to show up because it's going to be a nightmare. And the day I said that, and I tried, well, let's just try the opposite. Let's just go really high prices. Sure, it took me a while to get some yeses. It took me a while to learn how to do proper strategy calls. But when those clients showed up, the results were so freaking quick. Now, what is cool, those same clients who've been saying, I've been smoking for 40 years, Scott, and we had a chat for 20 minutes. How does that work? They missed out on all the wonderful stuff I was doing beforehand because they're not meant to know that stuff. And even if I explained it, it would not make sense. So what happens, that client says, wow, 20 minutes, they go out and tell other people. And they'll compare this to other therapists who need 5 sessions, 6 sessions, because that same therapist doing that extra amount of work, which is not necessary. Because remember, smoking is not the root cause, so it's a symptom anyway. So realistically, in saying that, all problems are symptoms anyway. So I don't have to learn a technique to learn how to become a faster stop smoking therapist. But my point is, they've missed out on all the wonderful stuff that happened on the strategy call. The motivation is there. They've approved that motivation by giving me income, and I'm a total stranger. They go out and tell everybody else. They compare me to other therapists when they say, well, I had to see my therapist 12 times. How on earth did you get it done in 20 minutes? And the results are still there. So it really works in your favor and your marketing, guys, and to get exposure as a very fast therapist. This whole thing of you have to see a client multiple times. I've got to give my client repetition. I've got to give him audios. I've got to give him homework because the mind works on repetition. This is all just theory. Okay, these are a lot of conclusions. Try this stuff for yourself. There's one thing you could do for yourself just to prove, to test my theory, not to prove it, test it for yourself. Raise your prices and let me know in the comments below how better your clients are, how quicker the breakthroughs are. I think you'll be in for a very good surprise. See you in the next video, guys.